Yep. Yeah. So let's see here. What is it mad about? Because I've changed some stuff here. I changed how this works to some degree. I believe. Got triple stab there. See, I've decided to change something here. I don't really remember what exactly. I was changing this. This is what I was changing. So I remember I was changing something like this. Right, so we are returning funks instead of the module itself. Data module is fine. But here, the animation module should be like that. But this isn't set up for it. Huh? That's what it needs to look like. This is the barrier object. So this has the same issue. right? Then we still have the same issue here. Front. Animation execution. I think this is something I got rid of. Not really doing that anymore. But it's gonna say LOT object, base object. We'll say that. And now it's happy. Okay. My phone wants to tell me something. Problems paying with Apple Pay? No, I don't have problems with that. Go fuck yourself. Holy shit, I hate modern apps. Notifications. New message. Fuck you. Alright. Coffee. You only want a little bit of cream. Like 20% cream, 80% milk in the bottom. Combat module does not contain I think this should be in the data module, maybe. I actually don't even really like this solution. To have like a faction assigned to characters. Because it creates a tedious problem where then in order to like incorporate which characters are allowed in a certain scenario, then I have to like make another character for it. So I'm not really sure if I want to really work with a faction thing here. I think instead it would be better if I simply decide which units are available. That's for certain things. Like, if I press P, that opens up, you know, the combat. It enables, or it engages combat mode, basically. And it then gives me a list of units to place. But that should be programmed in a way where it's like, it has an actual list it pulls from. Like, these are the characters we'll be able to place in this scenario. And the same thing, and you know, later on I might make it possible to like choose which faction you're placing unit-wise. And I just think that's better, because otherwise I won't have any control otherwise anyway. And it has to be done that way, because like, not all units will belong to a certain faction. A lot of the main characters will be from different factions. So that's gonna have to be like a main character faction, and like, it's just not good. It's not how it should be done. So, yeah. And honestly, right now, it should just be like everything. Like, every character can be placed. Because it's debug. Also gonna add this to the document. There. So here, where is it? Is it? Is it part of the editor? Again, I hate the editor. I really want it to be put into the main script. No, it's not there. So, game mode equals combat. It's here. Enter unit placement mode. This is it. There is something I want to do. Something that I've been meaning to do for ages, but I've been afraid of doing it because I was afraid it was going to break the project. See how long it takes to copy on the SSD. I really want to move to GitHub. How much is a GitHub subscription? Huh? Private repos are free now? Stuff. There. I thought private repos cost money. Maybe they've changed that. $6 years ago. Alright. Okay, cool. I don't know how it works, but I would like to set up a GitHub for this. Right now we're using Azure, and literally every single time I have to interact with Azure, I want to blow my brains out, because it's literally the worst thing ever made. Alright, here we go. This fucking file. This is my main file. 6,000 lines long. Finally gonna rename it to main controller. I'm sick and tired of it being called that. Alright. Seems good. Well, it seems good, but let's see. Let's see if IntelliSense manages to catch up. It apparently has a lot to do right now, because it's not even showing the error that it's telling me that there is one. Am I gonna have to restart? Maybe even delete the solution file? Ah! Showing a red dot. Ah, there we go. There we go. But this is... What is this? Triple stab. User.animation_module.init animation command animation 0. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to tell the game to play this animation. And now animation module does not have an init animation. So how did that happen? I kind of want to sort these. Let's see. Because I honestly want to have these tabs open. I want to have more tabs open. Object, level editor, controller. These should be open, yes. Effect database. This. Is this real? It might be. So we've got LOT combat module. LOT classes does not need to be pinned. Barely access that. But object database, object data module database, object combat module database, now, do I have any of them over here? Animation module database, just go over there. Somewhere. Combat unit database. This is not real. LOT behavior module. Not open. Combat module, not open. Behavior database, not real. Object behavior, not real. RIA behavior, not real. RIA.cs, not real. Scriptable object class, not real. LOT object script should still be open. It's a little... Actually, I should have moved the scripts over here. Let's see, LOT script. Oh, it was called that, right? What the fuck? No, it was called classes. That's the one I closed. Classes should be over here. That's kind of how I like having this. On the right, I have the shader, and I just have various things that I sometimes need to look at, or I can move things over for comparisons. So we have structs here. LOT databases isn't real. I don't know what I closed there. Oh, Yubarai, what is this? Making a turn-based RPG here. But right now, it's a lot of back-end stuff that I'm struggling with, like setting up databases and whatnot. I've reworked a lot, so it's kind of broken right now. Object data, this is also not real. Object behavior, not real. Lore, this is real. Enums, this is very real. Structs, that's also real. Setting variables, that's real. Unit real, that's not real. Alright, let's go back over here. I kind of wish there was like some better way to do this, but I think like any other way is just even clunkier. Because I like having like bookmarks, kind of, I guess. I wish there was some kind of bookmark bar. Window. Bookmark window. But yeah, see, this is what I mean. It's like... Where could I possibly, like, put this? Or it wouldn't just be dog shit. No, you can't pull it there. How do you add the bookmark? Toggle a bookmark on the current line. Bookmark 1. This is just way too tedious. But this is kind of what I do want. Because over here, as much as this is like okay for me, all of this shit up here, it's not good, especially because it moves around when you do this, and you know, it's a mess, and you can't even read the full thing. Toggle a bookmark. Move the caret to the previous bookmark. Move the caret to the previous bookmark in the current folder. Oh, yo. I don't want that. I just realized I moved the entire output and error list window. Well, all I want is this to be maybe here. Effect. Effects. Databases. Effects. This is effect. What should we call this? New folder. Data modules. Or modules, or just modules. Object modules. Effect is not an object module. Goes up there. Object data module database. Object data module. Object combat module. Just make it readable like that. And here are the combat modules. Or, no, this is the combat module only. Combat module. Actions. Goes to database. Animation module. Goes there. LOT object goes up there. This is one of the main things. Animation modules. Database. Make a new folder, call it system. Put that at the top, if it lets me. Mouse controller. That goes there too. Can you have a folder in a folder? No, okay. In that case, let's move these to their own thing. Here's pathfinding. Pathfinding. Put it there. This one, I don't feel like this is needed. And anytime I'm ever gonna look at the base combat action, it's gonna be through like another action, just clicking the base. All right, so what are we missing here? Object modules. Object combat module. So we're missing. What am I missing? Behavior module. Data module. Data module. There, at the top. And then we get combat, animation. Put them in the right order too. And behavior module. The behavior module is literally empty. Behavior module. And put that above combat. There. We also have core data, but core data I also don't feel like it needs to be there. Alright. Now I spent a bunch of time doing that, so now I don't remember shit. Now the issue with this is that how do I put this anywhere where it's just not in the way all the time? I feel like I have to put it like over here or something. I don't even like the Solution Explorer. But having it like over there is like the least bad place to have it. Alright, so we renamed this. We have an issue with the position modifier there. What was I doing? Right, we were going to look at the animation module. So now we can just go there. It used to have an init. which I guess is just gone now. Animation module.init. Because what I'm doing now is in the animation module database, I have this right. So here I have triple stab. And here now if action to trigger dot get type equals type of triple stab. If current animation does not equal triple stab, then we're gonna set the animation to triple stab. All right. And I feel that's fine. So, the solution to this is to get rid of it. User.currentAnimation.animation speed. And here, this is wrong. Now what we do need to do is set the animation. So it's not correct, actually. It is not correct. I don't like the skill telling the character to directly play like a certain animation. I like it more when it like requests it, I guess. And then we make an attempt. rather than just hard say, play this now. I think it's overcomplicated. And I think I need to change it. It should be so much simpler. Like, I'm doing shit here that shouldn't need to be done. Combat action. Here we're gonna add here public pool. Use dual scene. And then we go back where we were. And here it's gonna say use dual scene equals true. And see, what I'm doing here is I'm like telling the main controller to initialize the dual scene. But that's not how it should be. That is not how it should be. Every skill should not do this. It should be because here now we're calling behavior object combat module combat update. So this is how it's working right now, I believe. And I don't like it. Now we're in main controller, so I need a new mouse. We're doing combat update here, and then it says if game mode equals combat, then we check which phase we're in. Transition, command, movement. Execution. This all feels kind of unfinished, I'll be honest. But then here we check if combat turn order dot count is greater than 0. If progress turn means that we don't have a unit that's currently doing something. So we're just progressing to the next unit. If current turn does not equal null, then we run current turn's combat update. And this is where things are kind of weird, in my opinion. Because there's too much that's loaded into the combat module. Here, this should be different. This should have some stuff for like... Are we executing an action? And that's really all I'm doing here. Action to trigger dot behavior, right? I don't mind that being inside of the unit. But the transition from just standing to attacking, the characters need to like move into a dual stance, or we have some kind of pop-up, you know, some kind of screen that it transitions to where they're attacking. That should be handled here. I'm gonna write a note. Dual transition should be handled in main controller, not in the skill itself. Read. Use dual scene boolean of skill to decide what to do. Right? So here it should be something like if action to trigger does not equal no. If action to trigger dot use dual scene is true, then handle dual scene really. And then we need a user, and I guess that's gonna be current turn dot unit. But it's not as simple as that. Because now I have to make sure that I have steps properly. So there's gonna be a transition phase. Then there's gonna be the action execution phase. And then there's gonna be another transition phase. Right? And that's what we need here. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. To some degree, this is combat phase movement. And here I'm doing things with the movement. Combat phase execution. This is that, right? But that also means that this needs another combat phase. Combat, it needs like... Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's a little hard. Like, I feel like I have to do this now. To some extent, because there's so much in the skill right now that's like handle dual scene and whatever. Well, it shouldn't have to do that. This, whenever we get to the skill, it should just be set the animation, and at the same time as we set the animation, we execute the skill. And there is a big benefit to that, because right now I feel like we're running behavior for, you know, I don't know how long, 2 or 3 seconds, and it's doing things like it's handling the dual scene. When that's done, it finally gets to down here, and here's where it initializes its animation, right? And the problem with that is that I then have to like zero the time. So here I have to make sure I set the time to 0 on init animation. I have to 0 the time for the skill logic here. It's not that big of a deal, but it would just be so much simpler if it was just like you run the init, it sets animation current time to 0. That's it. And then it just plays. That way the animation and the skill are just synced. It just works, right? And what I also am a little worried about, though I don't think it'll matter because, you know, our assets are so simple that like loading something in on the fly doesn't really make a difference. But I don't really like loading in assets on demand when it needs to run, like on the same frame, because it can lead to a chug. Even if it's something that's relatively small, it can still lead to some kind of chug. So it's something I would prefer to have some space for, so that like when I initialize it, we can start a thread, I guess, to load in the data. And then we have time from when we initialize to when the behavior starts. And then here in behavior, we can run on a wait. If needed, you know, because you might have to. I mean, you won't, but you could have to. Theoretically, you could have to await it. Let's see. LOT object animations initialize. Load any data using threading question mark. Awaken behavior. But I'm not so sure it's needed either, because I think it's all loaded in already. Because when I load in a character, I load in all of its animations. So I think this is like an actual non-concern. I think about it more. All right, let's investigate. Combat update. Combat update runs here. It says if game mode.combat. Then we run combat update. Here we have command execution phase. Which I don't really know if it has any function right now. I think it does a little bit, but I think this is kind of weird. Mouse controller sets command execution phase to 1 when I click to execute an ability. And in command execution phase 1, all we're doing is we're setting command execution phase to +1. If input equals 1, it disables some outlines. In input equals 3, it checks the health of all the units, and then it kills units that need to be killed. I don't know if this is ancient. I kind of feel like it is. But I'll be right back. Alright. So, what I understand. Stage 1. Save the current position of the unit. Disable outlines from selection. This is so old now that I think about it again. The fact that I'm saving position is just like, what is that? That is not at all what I want to be doing. And this is where we set it to 3. So this here is like when we enter command execution phase 1. Right, so I do set command execution phase, set it to 1, and when it gets set to 1, we save the current unit's position and we clear the outlines on the units and the targets. And that's fine. And then that's done like immediately on the first update. And then on the next update, what this does is it comes back here and it says set command execution phase to 2. And 2 doesn't actually have anything in it. It doesn't do anything. But what 2 does is that it's basically where the command happens. And then when the command is done, it does command execution phase. Set command execution phase 3 here. And when we do that, that's where we check the health of whatever we're attacking, which I don't really like either. Because what I'm doing is basically, I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. But an attack can have multiple hits, right? That's a big part of the system. And if you kill someone on the first hit, what I've done is that it doesn't, like, whoever you're attacking doesn't fall down and die on the first hit. They still stand and take the attacks, and then when the attack is over, that's when we check health and kill the unit. And I think that's for the best. Because otherwise we're gonna have weird issues with, like, the character's gonna be on the ground and the other character is just flailing there, whatever. Like, it just looks better if the unit takes all the hits and then dies. And there's no reason to do the opposite either, really. There could be, like, edge cases, like, let's say you have thorns or something like that, like thorns damage. And in those cases, you would take, like, you know, potentially 1 extra hit of reflected damage, because the unit doesn't die, but that also doesn't really matter because it kind of just becomes part of the game at that point. Like, you just have to realize that that's how it works, and it doesn't really matter, to be honest. It just is what it is. Not really sure that we'll have that, but either way, I think it's better than the alternative. Not all solutions are always good, some are just better than the other option. I want to get rid of this, I think. To some degree. Like, not really, but also yes, really. I want it to be different. It's really convoluted and hard to read. So what I want is to replace this with a combat update. But the combat update is all the way down here. So in here, see, I think I was honestly kind of already doing it. But what is transition in this case? Combat phase, command, movement, execution, end of turn. Yeah. So combat phase. Let's go and check combat phase. Transition, command, movement, execution, end of turn, resolution. What about... Because what is transition? Executing transition phase. I don't really know what I had in mind there. I think I kind of want the combat to have more phases. It should be start of combat. End of combat. Victory. Let's see. Because we have resolution here. So transition, I want this to be action or dual transition. Not exactly, because I feel like transition could also be spell casting. Because that's another thing that I'm like, I think this should kind of be handled maybe in the main controller. But not really. I think it... Because I like having logic be tied to the objects to some degree, right? Like the object handling its own like casting animation. Because that's kind of what needs to be done. The object needs to handle its own casting animation, and then when that's done, that's when the spell is cast. And then maybe that's okay to handle in the character itself. I'm not sure. Because it's one of those things where there's no way to really say that the intro phase is over, where like, because the casting animation consists of a startup, a loop, and an end. And what happens is that while the spell isn't like being executed or finished or finalized, the loop is being played because they're casting something, right? And then when it becomes their turn to actually cast the spell, then the loop is played to finalization one last time, and then it transitions into the cast animation. And then when that's done, the spell triggers. I don't even know. I completely lost my train of thought. But basically, that cast animation can be any time, right? It could be any length. So, no matter what, the unit itself is going to have to report back to the main controller to say that, hey, I'm finished. So because of that, it's kind of like... I think the casting animation should be handled by the object itself, because I'm just thinking about ways to centralize things more, to just make the main controller handle things. For example, the dual animation where the characters are like taken from their original position and moved into more like a dual position with whatever they're attacking, so that we have more space to animate and whatever. That makes more sense for the controller to handle than the object, I would say. While the cat, because there's no animation there, right? Like it's just they move. They have like a little draw animation. You know, they transition into. Actually, there might be animation issues, but. All right, so let's say let's call this dual transition. I'm gonna rename dual transition. execution, end of turn, we should have execution, resolution, dual reversion, or dual end maybe, I don't know. And then end of turn. So, something like that. And then here we have end of combat. But here I feel like it should be combat results, something, and then end of combat. So start of combat, command movement, this should be like turn progression, command input, movement execution, action execution, action resolution, dual end, end of turn. Something like that. And then here I want to handle this more in combat update. So we're gonna do this phase by phase. Dual transition. Dual transition should say if current turn dot. There is an action to trigger here, right? If action to trigger dot use dual scene, else, then we're gonna do something else. We're gonna say combat phase equals plus equals 1. They are all in order here now, so and that's important. Right, and then we want start of combat, break, turn progression, command input, movement execution, dual transition, action execution, action resolution, dual end, end of turn, combat results, and end of combat. So end of combat is basically going to be exit combat mode, I think. But that's not how we do that. We say mode, transition, enter game, enter. That's how you do it. Exit combat mode. Let's just write that for now. No. It's here. Set game mode. Set game mode. Exploration. Now we gotta figure out this whole thing. Start of combat. And to objects, and to Terrestria/main party, show objectives on screen, do any kind of intro segment for the encounter. That's the idea of start of combat. I actually think we might want to have more combat phases, because right now I have a phase called unit placement, right? But I don't like that. I think unit placement should not be its own phase or game mode, because I think that's what it is. Game mode equals combat. Yeah, game mode equals unit placement. So unit placement is a different thing from combat, and I don't like that. So it should be something more like unit placement. And then here we might want to have something like combat scene, like transition to combat scene, end of combat, transition from combat scene. Something like this. It's very complicated, but I think this is the easiest way to do it. It's not gonna be easy. But I think this is the most logical and like the best way to have an overview of what the hell is happening in combat. Because right now, it's kind of a mess. And that's the issue. I don't like the term spaghetti code because I don't think it means anything, but the closest the closest to actual spaghetti code that I have is here. Because it's like it's literally spaghetti, right? Like over here you have an object. Here you have the main controller. And the main controller is like, it's handling everything, and then it's handling... we also have a mouse controller. And the main controller is like handling most of the stuff, and then when we get to combat, all of a sudden it's like, it's going like this into here, and then from here it's transitioning back to here, and then from here it transitions into here, and then here this transitions back to here, and then again it like transitions back into the object, and then, you know, it transitions back here, and it's kind of hard to read and keep track of. Hmm. Set game mode, unit placement. This needs... I want to say if mode equals game mode, then we're just going to return debug.log attempting to enter the same game mode we are already in. Error. Do you think they have a sale on milk today? Let's take a look. I hope they do. They have on cheese. Do I want to buy cheese for like $30? Maybe I do. They have a sale on milk. Oh yeah. All right. We're buying milk and cheese. Because I do need to take a break in a sec. Milk and cheese, and they have 12 packages of crushed tomatoes for $8. Nice. I'll take that. It's gonna be heavy. I think I might take the car. No, I don't want to. I want to take the car, but I need the walk. Always buy cheese? I don't know if I always want to buy cheese. It's like 3 kilos. Takes a long time to eat the cheese. I slice mine to cubes and freeze it. Yeah, fair enough. I feel like it almost always lasts. The one I buy looks like this. This looks like it's like AI generated or some shit, but... And if you just kind of peel the plastic down, it's just it's just plastic that's like vacuum sealed around it. So if you just like peel it down, it's like everything below to where you've peeled it down is vacuum sealed still. So it doesn't go bad. I just kind of rip this up and then I just like put it upside down with the plastic there in the fridge. I slice mine to cubes and freeze it. No fridge here though, so no choice. What do you mean no fridge? You don't have a fridge? You only have a freezer? That's a weird setup in that case. That's so weird, dude. But hey, if it works, I guess. I live next to a shop. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. If you just want to take a little walk and buy things every day, that works. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna buy like 2.5 to 3 kilos of cheese and 6 liters of milk, and then I'm gonna carry it all back home by hand. That's gonna be great. Alright. Let's go do that. Because it is break time. And then I kind of feel like there's a lot of random things here that I'm not like a huge fan of that we're doing. And it's just like, it's like every step of the way where I get somewhere, it's like, oh, okay, here's the next thing that I have to change entirely again. Ugh. But it's fine. I don't think this is going to be that big of a deal. We just have to move this from being placement mode to being combat mode, and any logic that is tied to this just needs to be tied to combat phase unit placement instead of game mode dot unit placement. So that it should be easy. And I already have all the code, like exit placement mode here is just gonna happen when we transition to start of combat. And that's it. But yeah, be back in a bit. So. Oh, didn't even take 40 minutes. Oh, let's go without the cam today. Don't feel like it. That was heavy. It was, right? It wasn't even particularly fast. But somehow it was. Nah, I'm eating a chocolate bar because I'm cheating. Oh, and a mug of milk. Is it Swedish? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. It's Marabou. Marabou Skotte. I think Marabou is a Swedish company. And this one's got truffle, hazelnut. What the fuck is mandel? Raisins. Almond. That's what it is. I was just gonna buy a whole salami, but they were out of salami, so I ended up buying chocolate. So it's really their fault. I was gonna not do it, but they didn't have my substitute, so I failed. I usually buy like some long sausages out of salami. And then I just like chop bits of it. It's expensive as hell, but you know, it keeps me from eating sugar. Yeah. Like one of these, more or less. And just cut some pieces. I buy a cheap one. But the cheap one is pretty good. I never know what the difference is between them, so I always walk past. Yeah, I've tried most of them, and there's one that's literally just like normal salami. But right now, the salami meta, is that you buy it in a little box, and it comes like pre-sliced, right? Or in a package pre-sliced. But you can buy the exact same product, except it's just in a little sausage, right? Not cut. That one is cheap, and it just tastes like normal salami, no special nothing. You can also buy the ones that have like pepper on the outside. Those are terrible for snacks because the pepper is way too strong. It doesn't work. And there's also like Danish salami, but I don't like that. I just want normal salami. I don't know what normal salami is, but it's not Danish, that's for sure. Well, honestly, the pre-sliced ones are probably more economic, in a way. Because you get like thinner slices, so if you're just gonna put like one slice on a sandwich, you know, you probably get more out of it. But they're definitely more expensive. Well, except for the cheap ones. But the cheap ones taste like battery acid, so... Yeah, they're terrible. How do I know this? Well, it's an assumption. Hmm. I'm gonna have to move a bunch of functions. Here, this is gonna have to be like enter unit placement mode. What does that do? Yeah. This is gonna have to be reworked in some manner. is I'm changing this from a game mode to a combat phase. And right now it's doing a lot of checks for like game mode. See here, soft windows dot game mode. That doesn't exactly work anymore. What I'm doing here is basically, as we enter unit placement mode, I'm going through all of our windows and I'm checking if the window belongs to unit placement mode. And if it doesn't, then I disable the window. So I go through it and I close all the unrelated windows. And the same thing happens when I transition into combat mode. Here we check all the windows for combat mode. And that's where things become a little annoying. Because now I need a way to tell a window when it is allowed to exist, I guess. So the question is, because game mode only has this. I am using bit flags. So I could just still say that unit placement is a game mode, even though it's a mode that's part of the combat mode. That way, it would still just work. I think it might be okay, actually. Customizable graph a few days ago. What's Desmos? But yeah, link it. It's gonna attack you for linking it, but it's fine. I can see the link anyway. Yeah. Oh, this site. Yeah. Oh. Right. Oh, right. Yeah, I get what you mean. You got the ability to move it back here. Did you write this specifically to help me, or did you write this for another reason? Right. I feel a little bit bad in that case, because I have already solved it by just using easing curves and easing functions. And I think that actually works better, because you can get kind of the same results. But yeah, this would pretty much be what I was thinking of. If you started at 0, it kind of goes forward there. But even here, it's a little hard. To get like control over the top. That was my issue too, and that's why I opted for easing curves more, because when you're easing, you can just say like, for the first half we're gonna do this, and for the second half we're gonna do that, and then you can have like full control over the entire curve, because you're not trying to do it mathematically, you're literally just brute forcing it. But I will bookmark that anyway. It might be useful at some point. But thank you. Didn't get to where you solved it yet? Oh shit, I spoiled it. Alright, so the issue here, I think this does work, though this needs to be set game mode. But I don't want that. No, it doesn't work. Because here we're setting the game mode. So the game mode is only ever one mode. So there's no reason for this to actually be a bit flag. So it's not useful. Basically, I need to move this out. Enter unit placement mode. Init unit placement phase. Is this a problem? Combat teams dot clear units. No, this all seems good. Okay, so all I should really have to do here is say enter unit placement mode. And then here in start of combat, we should say See, I kind of hate this. Let's make a function. Public void set combat base, and that takes an LOT combat base, and then we're gonna say this dot combat base equals combat face. And what is the problem, right? Why do I need to do this? I need to do this because I basically need to have all of this there too. Again. Because this is the update. This is not the update. So here we need to have different functions. So here, on unit placement, we should say enter unit placement mode on set combat base. And then on start of combat, we need to say exit unit placement mode, enter combat mode. And then end of combat, here we're gonna say exit combat mode, enter exploration mode. Because I need some place. This is one of the things I hate the most about programming, I'll be honest, is one-time occurrences. When you want to do something in the update at a certain point, but you only want to do it once. I hate that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We're gonna do set combat phase. So every time that the combat phase changes, it is done via this, and then it like initializes that phase and does what needs to be done. And then down here we have the update that handles how that combat phase functions. Here we should not have enter. Transition to combat scene. This should not do combat phase +1 there. We should do it here. Because the transition doesn't do anything right now. Actually, it does. I do have a segment where I turn all the objects transparent. Which I don't know where it is where it happens. Enter combat mode. It's not here. But you see, entering combat mode. It initializes the timeline, the combat timeline. That's what the important part there is. And then as we transition into turn progression, I don't think anything really needs to happen there. I have a bunch of music intensity modifiers here, and I think that should also only be set here, just once. Perhaps. And these should be constants. Music intensity is very cool. Saw it in Nier Automata. Yeah, plenty of games do it. I already implemented it, but for some reason the music stopped playing. I don't know if I just unchecked it, but basically we made a test track only, but it consists of like 3 different layers or 4. So when it starts playing, we play layer 1, and then depending on what's happening, the intensity modifier is going to go up, and then, you know, like layer 2 kicks in, and then layer 3, and then layer 4 for like boss fights or whatever. Yeah. And that's what, now that you mention it, you enter combat mode. That's here, it says first blood. That's what first blood means. When you enter combat, I start it low, the intensity, and then first blood is like a big boost, I think, to like bring it up. And then after that, it's gonna be like every turn that nothing happens, it's gonna go down a bit, and then every turn that someone is attacked or dies or whatever, it's gonna go up. Something like that. I haven't finalized this. It's just an idea right now. that. I don't like the way this works, really. I want to make something like these. Like I have exit and enter modes here. I want something like that. For faces. Public void. Enter. Enter. Combat face. Maybe. Public void. Enter. No. Enter unit placement base. And in reality, these are gonna be the exact same as these up here. And these up here are gonna change, I would say. Because right now, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to enter unit placement phase at the same time as I'm like, or enter unit placement mode, even though I'm actually in the combat mode, or I mean to be in the combat mode. No, they're just like stepping on each other's toes. It's just annoying. Well, then it's also gonna need exit combat phase. And I wanted to make sure I used functions, because in the past I have used, I think I still do, used getters and setters to run code. And it's not bad. Like, it has a lot of usefulness, really. But it makes the code extremely hard to read, in my experience. Because you don't know if a variable is a getter or a setter, and you don't know if it has functionality inside of it. So you'd have to use like a special naming convention so that you can know that this is a like a loaded setter or something. You know, I don't know what to call it. Yeah, because with methods you know exactly. I prefer calling them functions, I'll be honest. It's one of those things that I see people use different words. I know they mean exactly the same thing. But because I see other people use like method or line or, you know, it just kind of makes me like ping pong between the random words. No, no. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. It's just like there's so many little random name changes that people use here and there. I'm not saying like you need to do one way or the other or like complaining or anything. It's just a little. I just think it's funny because I can't like settle on using one. I always ping pong because I'm about to say functions, and then I'm like, but I see people call them methods, and then I like change my mind at the end, like right before I say it, and then I say method instead. For like no reason. I do the same? Yeah. Fair enough. Hello, Silcoon. How's it going? Methods are just function. Yeah, I mean, they're the same thing. It's like lines and variables and stuff too. Enter combat phase. Needs to do this. Enter combat phase. And today we're back to programming my main project. Last week was a bit of a rough one, so I mostly focused on helping the boys out with the writing projects. Now we just need to get back to it this week. We're gonna push out another lore video this week, or we mean to at least. Hopefully we manage to. But sometimes things come up, you know. Someone in the pipeline is having a tough time or whatever and can't finish, so it is what it is. But we'll see. I think we're on schedule. So, enter combat phase is only gonna happen once. I don't see an issue here. Like here, I'm going through the windows and I'm disabling them. And the windows are set to be like, this is a combat game mode window, this is a unit placement game mode window. And even though right now I'm moving away from having like a unit placement game mode, I don't think it matters, because this is the only place where I'm like disabling windows that don't belong. And I'm making like a hard check here. It's just checking what's set in the window versus the combat mode, not like what current combat mode we're in or anything like that. Oh yeah, that's why I use bit flags, because some windows might be able to exist in different modes, but I don't think they actually do. Because like nothing that exists in unit placement mode exists in combat mode. and nothing that exists in exploration mode exists in any of the other modes. So it doesn't really matter, but whatever. But yeah, this is basically all that we're gonna do. We're just gonna steal everything. Exit combat mode. Exit combat phase is gonna be here. Enter unit placement mode. I'm setting everything to not have a soft collider. Don't know if that is good, but for now it's fine. So here we are entering unit placement mode, or unit placement phase. And here we exit unit placement phase. I think this. Yeah, no, this might be okay still. I basically wrote it so that you're supposed to be able to exit from combat mode back to unit placement mode, and from unit placement mode back to exploration mode, or something kind of. And you can just exit combat mode by pressing the button, so it doesn't really, but it's basically clearing all the combat units if we go from unit placement phase to a non-combat game mode, I guess. Yeah, I don't think it matters that much. And now, what do I need to do now? Now we have enter exploration mode, and here we are closing all the windows that don't belong outside of exploration mode. This is all fine, because this is meant to be a mode. Exit exploration mode. I close windows. I kind of do the same thing twice. Like, I exit exploration mode, and then I close all the windows when I exit, and I also close all the non-related windows when I enter. Which is kind of weird. I don't really need to do that. Do I? I guess it doesn't really matter that much, because soft windows, I think, is just a list of the current open windows. And this is an annoying thing I was doing for a while. Like I always set length instead of doing just softwindows.count in here. And it was one of those many times where I'm like, what if caching this is better for performance or some bullshit? And then I tested it like last week, and you gain literally nothing. Like there's no difference. the compiler does not care. It does the exact same thing whether you do this or that. It just compiles it into the same thing. There's like not even a single millisecond of difference, I think. Even if you do this like a million times, I don't think it really matters. Because .count is just... it's just a variable that's set. Like it's not counting it every time. It's just a variable that's changed when the list is changed. So I have been removing those little implementations when I find them. Actually, this can just be I minus minus there, right? But I don't like that. This is just more expressive in my opinion. Now this, I don't know if it's worth doing get length, but I think that's kind of the same, right? Like doing get length is just gonna be the same as a getter, but can't really tell here. Let's find out. It's gonna be pretty much the same as I was doing here. Right? Except we're gonna say... it's gonna be 4xyz. No, I don't have 4xyz! Oh no! Huh? Really? I only have that one. Programming, snippets, C#. No items found. Programming, snippets, C#, core data. Ah, what about... Where is it? I always lose this thing. 4XYZ. I don't know if it's in G or if it's in D. 4XYZ. There it is. It's in D. Visual Studio Snippets. I'm gonna move that to programming because I'm beginning to have everything spread out, like everywhere. I'm trying to consolidate everything to a programming folder. 4XYZ snippet. This location already contains a code snippet with this name. Huh? No, it fucking doesn't. It's not there. Huh? Oh, it's because it's... Oh, okay. It's because I copied it in there. There, okay. There we go. This is the only snippet I have, pretty much. Because I use this so much. So... we need to have a public... let's just say int tile matrix. Tile matrix equals new int 1000, 1500. And then we're gonna say tile matrix dot get length 2. Tile matrix dot get length 1. Tile matrix dot get length 0. And then in here we're gonna say tile matrix XYZ equals 0. Well, let's set it to 1. And then here, we're gonna say vector 3 int length equals new vector 3 int and then we're gonna use that. Actually, quite a large difference. This is caching get length is more than twice as fast. Why though? Are arrays just stupid? Like an array, to me, should be even quicker to check than a list because the array is fixed. So here they're doing length. Array.length is fine, while list.count is lower here. Yet I'm not having any issues with list.count. But I'm using getLength, not length. Hmm. I should write down the results here, because I can't remember. Interesting. So And that's equal. This is actually slightly slower. Like that. And then we do another test. I think I've tested this already, but can't remember. I gotta do it again. So this time we're gonna have a public list of ints. We can turn that array into a list. And then we're gonna say int list.count. And then here try running that. It's the same. Cached is slightly faster. Maybe. Yeah. Something like that. So get length sucks. Get length is trash. Dot count, perfectly fine. Dot length, perfectly fine. Dot get length, dog shit. That's what we learned. So this completely acceptable. Creating a vector length. This waste of time. Either way, most of these don't really matter, but it's also just about actually learning. stupid or not. And now I like super derailed myself, so I don't even remember what I was doing. Exit unit placement mode. Need to steal that. Hello, Rick. How's it going? No, I did steal that. That's why it's not there. And now enter combat mode. This needs to do something else now. What should that do? I actually don't know what that needs to do. Combat phase equals LOT combat phase dot. What is the first one? Transition to combat scene. Something like that. Because it doesn't actually say anything about facing the units. I don't really know where that comes from. So now we're here, combat update. And in unit placement, there shouldn't really be any updates here, I think. I'm not sure what it would be. I could handle the mouse here, but I don't think so. The mouse is kind of separate. Start of combat. This also shouldn't really do anything. Turn progression. This is where we should progress turn, I guess. But progress turn only happens once as well. So that's one of those things that I feel like it really only needs to happen here. Like turn progression, we set it to turn progression, it progresses the turn instantly, unless I wanted to do it on the next frame for some reason. What advice for a fresh graduate? I don't really have much advice. Really depends on what you want to do. I mean, I'm an indie developer. I'm not like a professional. I mean, I am, but it's not like I've been working for a bunch of different companies or whatever. So I don't really have professional industry advice. It really depends on what you want to do, what you're doing. If you're programming, you gotta program. Go and program things. Make a portfolio. Don't just rely on having a grade or a degree. Make a portfolio. I don't know if that's useful, but that's what I would do. Write some programs for things that you would like to do. Do you want to be an engine programmer? Go write an engine. Put it up on a website. This is what I've done. If you want to be a designer, go play like 6 million video games. There is one advice I would give, and that's learn the other disciplines. If you're a programmer, learn some art. Learn how to implement art in Unity or something. Learn how to work with it, even just a little bit. Make some audio stuff, like even if it's just sound effects, just put that in. Like do the other things, because just being hyper specialized is kind of a weakness, because if you don't know how the other things work, then you have a hard time working with other people from other departments. So it's good to make like a solo project where you do everything, just so you learn a little bit of everything, even if it's not serious, even if it's not good. It's just about learning like how things work a little bit outside of your little hole. Ah, this is an actual reason to put this in update instead of here. Because it needs to progress a little bit. It needs to take a little bit of time before it continues. This I also want to redo. Move. Move distance to move function into LOT object and have it handle its own movement. Because right now this is handled by the script here. We're calculating how far should it move. Well, not exactly. Like work culture? I don't know, we have a small team. And it depends where you end up working. Large companies will have a different environment than small companies. And small companies will have different environments than another small company, so. But yeah. The code for this is like atrocious. I'm doing all of this every update. This feels so bad. I think maybe that's it for today. My brain is shutting down, and I do have other things to do. I'm doing some writing work afterwards too. And it's been 4 hours, so... Right now I'm trying to get back to doing more work, but it's writing work, and I'm gonna try to do writing work without it affecting my programming time, and we'll see how that goes. So this is the first time I'm really stepping up my hours, and we'll see. Hopefully it's not too much. But yeah, I might be back later tonight. We'll see. And no, I'm not gonna eat cheese. I'm gonna maybe later. Anyway, thanks for hanging, and have a good day. Bye bye.